This is really easy peasy. I hope you will enjoy this tutorial. So let's get the party started. Hello everyone, this is Yolanda. To begin our traditional or our classic granny square, I'm going to be using two colors. I'm using a J hook, but of course you would use whatever size you want. I'm going to use this red heart and in the green and blue. You can use whatever colors you want. This is also the perfect project to use up all your yarn scraps, because you could just use a different color on each row. I'm just going to be working on a traditional granny square. This is how I learned how to do it. I know that you might have learned a different way. So to begin, you're going to have to make a slip loop. Oops, there's a little, you know what, I'm going to trim this off because there's a little piece of bad yarn there at the edge. I don't want that to be part of my square. So I'm just going to wrap around my index finger, pull out my loop through the back, and then just going to pull it out through there. Just make sure you're able to slide it through. To begin, you're going to do 4 chains. To do the chain, you yarn over, pulling your yarn over your hook. 1, 2, 3, and 4. After you do the 4th chain, you're going to slip stitch into your first chain. Okay? You're going to pull your yarn through there. Now I'm going to try to bury this yarn as I go along. Now to go up to your first row, you're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and this is going to count as your first double crochet. You're going to do 2 more double crochets into the circle, and I'm burying the yarn in there. See, when you put in your chain, you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Pull through 2, then through your next 2. I'm going to do that one more time. Okay. And now here I'm going to chain 3 for my corner. 1, 2, 3. Some people do 2, but I've learned to do it this way. So then now once again here I'm going to do 3 double crochets into my circle. 1, and see how I'm burying my yarn tail in there. 2, and that way you won't have to do so many sewing in of the tails. 3. So your little, oops, sorry guys. So your clusters are going to have 3 double crochets each. Pull this out. Now here, once again, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Another 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and this is going to be our last 3 double crochet clustered here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I'm going to chain my 3 for the corner, and then some people say to bind off and then you start again with your next color. The way I was taught, 1, 2, 3. This is how my aunts taught me how to do it. You go into your 3rd chain, 1, 2, 3 here. You're going to slip stitch in there. And a lot of people say then you can bind off and then start here in the corner somewhere. The way my aunts did it is we would bind off there. We would do a reverse crochet, which means that here I'm there. I'm going to go back here to my next space here. Okay? And here is where I'm going to change colors. So if you want to do it the same color, you would just leave the same yarn. But here, once I put my stitch in there, I'm going to pull out my next yarn there. And I'm going to do 3 chains here. 1, 2, 3. Once I do the 3, I can cut off my green yarn here in the back. Okay, I'm going to make a knot so it doesn't fall apart. And like I said, you can do it different. You might be doing it differently because you were taught differently. So here, this is going to be my first double crochet on my 2nd chain, and then I'm going to do my 2 more double crochets into the same space. Okay, so here I'm going to wrap my yarn. I'm going to yarn over, go into this corner 3 chain space, and do 2 more double crochets. 1, because remember this one counts as 1, and 2. Let me pull my yarn out here. It's a little tight. So here's my second double crochet. But now I have 3 of them. See? 1, 2, 3. Now to go into my next corner, I'm going to skip these 3 double crochets that I have here. I'm not going to work in those. And then I'm going to chain 2 between these spaces. You only do 3 in the corners. In between the other spaces, you chain 2. So there's 1, 2. Now I'm going to go back into this corner space. I'm going to chain 3 double crochets here. 1, 2, and 3. Now remember, this is my corner. See how this has 2? So now here in my corner, I'm going to do 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go back into that same corner and do 3 more. 3 more double crochets, and that is going to shape my corner. 2 and 3. Now to work back into my next corner here, this is the middle point, so I'm only going to chain 2. 1, 2, and I'm going to repeat what I did here in this corner. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, followed by 3 chains. 1, 2, 3, and then do 3 double crochets again for your corner. And remember, the bigger the hook you use, or your thicker your yarn, the bigger your granny square will be. You could make these even in thread. It just depends on how you want to do them. And then you would just use a size hook that's appropriate to your yarn. Here, once again, chain 2. 1, 2. Finish my last corner, my second to the last corner, my last full corner, because the other one already has half of it done. 1. Oops, here. 2. I try to choose these colors to see if they would pop out more. 3. Now 3 chains. 1, 2, and 3. And this squares, you could even use it to make the vest or to make even coats. There's some that you can do coats for yourself or your child. 2 and 3. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now I'm coming to my last corner. This is 1/2, so I'm going to do 1/2 of my corner here. So you're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Here it is. It looked kind of weird here, but this will straighten out as soon as you put in your other stitches in your following rows. So here I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to slip stitch into my 3rd chain here. 1, 2, 3. Pull out my yarn. Okay. If you want to change colors, then here is when you're going to change it. I'm going to change it because I'm going to alternate my rows. So here, remember to go back into the middle. I pull slip stitch through there, and then I just go a reverse stitch. So here, let me see if I can show you how I did it. We slip stitched into your 3rd chain here, and now you're going to do a reverse single crochet chain, just a single crochet, just a reverse chain going back in here. Once I pull it through there, I'm going to grab my other color yarn. Okay. I pull out my chain through there, my yarn through there, and now I chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Once I chain 3, I can come here and cut my my blue yarn, make my knot, this is a little too long, so I'm going to trim them to be about the same size. Okay, I've already did my 1, 2, 3 chain. I'm going to do 2 more double crochets into this corner. Remember, this counts as our first double crochet. I'm going to grab my yarn and try to hide it here as I do my double crochet. So here's 1, there's 3 loops of yarn, pull through 2, then your next 2. Remember, the first 3 chains count as 1 double crochet. I'm going to do 1 more because this is my half corner. When you go up, you're just doing a half a corner, and then you're going to work all the way around. When you come around all the way around, when you come to this other side, you'll do your second half of your corner, your chain 3, you'll slip stitch, and you're going to go up. This is going to repeat the same thing for this round and 1 more round, or you could keep repeating it as big as you want to do it. This is usually just like 1, 2, like maybe 4 rounds. So here in between these spaces here, and then remember we're just doing 2 chains, 1, 2. You only do 3 chains in the corners. So here I'm going back here into that space, the 2 space chain, and here I'm going to do my 3 double crochets. So this is just a pattern. It's going to repeat 3. Okay, now you see that. If you want to trim this yarn, you can. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, go into my corner space, do 3 double crochets, followed by 3 chains, and then 3 double crochets again into that corner space. So here's 1, that's 2, 3. I'm going to do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. Go back in here again, that same corner space, 1, 2, 3. 2 chains, 1, 2. Go into your next space and do 3 double crochets. And you're just going to repeat this same row for your last row. I'm going to change colors for my row 4. So I will have them both, the colors alternating. I'm going to do 2 chains here. And then my 3 double crochets, 3 chains, and 3 double crochets. So I'm going to finish that, and when I come to the end here, I'll show you once again how we move to the top. So go ahead and repeat this until you get here to your top, and you're going to do your 3 double crochets here, chain 3, slip stitch in there, come back, and then we'll move on to our next row. Okay, I'm coming here to my last half of the corner here. 1, 2. I'm going to do my 3 double crochets here. 1, 2, and 3. And of course, if you're doing them all one color, you wouldn't have to change yarn, and you could change your yarn every color if you want, and that's a perfect way to use up all your scraps. So here in the corner, once again, I'm going to do 3 chains, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to slip stitch into my 3rd chain, 1, 2, 3. There's my 3rd chain. Slip stitch through there. Okay, so here I have my corner. Now remember to go up to my next row. I'm going to go back into this chain once again, and then I'm going to change my yarn here. If you were changing yarn colors, you just pull up your yarn and then you would change your 3 and then continue. Okay, but since I am going to be changing my color here, when I like to change my color, I'm going to go back, reverse crochet there, chain, and I'm going to change my color now. And this is going to be my last row. And you're just going to repeat what you did in your previous row. So it's really, it's easy peasy. It's not real difficult to do. But the granny square is very versatile because you can do all kinds of projects with it. And it's also great when you're learning how to crochet. You can actually finish your squares, and then you can make, like I said, you can make handbags, you can make vests, coats, shawls, all kinds of things with them. So I really like them because it's, it kind of gives you a lot of, you could accomplish something really fast. So here I'm going to try to hide some of these, and then of course some of these, see, this was a little too long, so I'm going to have to trim that. Okay, So here, or sew it in, you're going to repeat the same thing, 2 double crochets into your corner here for your 3 corners, and then chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then just repeat all the way around like we did. But this time, since it's the 4th round, once you slip stitch here, you're just going to bind off, you're just going to tie it off, and your square will be done. So let me go ahead and finish my square. We'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So go ahead and just repeat what we've been doing here. Here's my half corner. 1, 2, I'm going to 3 double crochets in here and finish my square. Okay, I'm coming to my last section here. So now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. Here's my corner. So I'm going to do 3 double crochets in there. 1, pull some yarn out, 2, 3. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go back here into my beginning chain, and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch through there. Now I'm done. I'm going to cut off my yarn, pull it through. There we go. I think I did. Oh, I did an extra stitch. Oh, didn't get both of the stitches. Sorry guys, let me pull that out again. See, sometimes I make mistakes here, so sorry about that. Let me pull that out. So there's 1, 2, 3. I didn't slip stitch into the whole chain here, so it's 1, 2. I went into the wrong chain. Sorry guys. So here I'm going to slip stitch, and then I'm just going to pull out my yarn. There we go. I went into the 4th chain, guys, on top of the other double crochet. So I'm sorry about that here. So here is your completed granny square. I hope I didn't confuse you too much by going, instead of going into the 3rd chain, I had gone into the 4th chain. So it looked really odd. So here's your completed granny square. This is really great to be able to use up all your scraps of yarn. It also, because when you only have a few minutes, maybe you only have 5-10 minutes, you can make your squares, and then when you have time you can sew them together. But this is a great way to be able to use up all your yarns, because a multicolor granny square blanket looks really cute. Remember, you could use this even for crochet thread, bulky yarn, whatever kind of yarn you want, and any size hook that's appropriate for your yarn. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please be sure to click the like button and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Please be sure to spread the word about my channel and share my videos with your friends and your family. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy day to watch my video. Have a great day.